Zelenskyy presented the F-16. Yesterday, during the Air Force Day celebrations, President Zelenskyy showcased F-16 fighter jets, marking a new phase for the Ukrainian Air Force. At the event, attendees and media saw the F-16 both on the ground and in the sky. By the way, according to American officials, according to the New York Times, Ukraine will be able to use no more than 10 F-16 fighters on the battlefield this year. The publication notes that President Zelenskyy did not specify the number of F-16s or if they had already been used in combat in Ukraine. A U.S. official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said that 6 pilots were conducting test flights with the same number of aircraft in Ukraine's controlled airspace. According to him, Ukrainian pilots are getting used to small-scale operations and have not yet participated in combat operations against the Russians. According to the newspaper, experts believe that the lack of trained pilots and the limited number of aircraft will limit their direct impact on the battlefield. According to U.S. officials, about 20 Ukrainian pilots are expected to be able to fly these aircraft this year. Quote, "This would allow only about 10 F-16s to be used in combat, given that each aircraft requires at least 2 pilots," the report said. "I would just like to remind you that a few days ago, retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Jeffrey Fisher said that he was surprised by the situation with Ukrainian pilots, as he believed the White House knew how many Ukrainian pilots needed to be trained and how many aircraft would be transferred. Therefore, at this point, not 10 to 20 pilots should have been trained, but at least 90 to 120. Fisher does not understand why the White House delayed the training.
Всі, хто причетні до того, аби дати змогу нашим пілотам навчатися. Джеффі Фішер каже наступне, що і згадує, я про це вам вже розповідав, що також можна задіювати іноземний легіон, тобто
And also notes that a foreign legion, retired pilots with extensive experience in F-16s, could be used to form legions, as foreign legions did in the fight for Ukrainian independence. Fisher says he does not understand why this is not being done. Oleksandr Syrskyi also commented on the arrival of the first 10 F-16s in Ukraine, emphasizing that the fighters will allow to inflict even more losses on the occupiers. To quote, "There will be more downed missiles and airplanes used by Russian criminals to attack Ukrainian cities," Syrskyi added. He thanked the partners for their decisive actions and emphasized that the effective use of fighter jets would save more lives of Ukrainian defenders. Speaking of protecting our skies, Ukrainian diplomats are working to organize a meeting within the framework of the NATO-Ukraine Council with partners to discuss the possibility of intercepting Russian missiles from the territory of Western countries. President Zelenskyy announced this to journalists. He noted that it is a difficult question to take responsibility and help shoot down missiles near the borders with the countries of the North Atlantic Alliance. Zelenskyy emphasized, although he believes this should have been done long ago. Earlier, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski said that Warsaw was considering Kyiv's proposal to shoot down Russian missiles heading for Polish territory while they were still in Ukrainian airspace. Poland's initiative was criticized by the North Atlantic Alliance and the White House, which stated that no member would directly intervene in a military conflict. However, Poland's security agreement with Ukraine included considering options to help shoot down Russian missiles and create a volunteer battalion. Recall that the bilateral security agreements between Ukraine and Poland included an agreement for Poland to transfer around 24 MiGs to Ukraine. Later, it was reported that these MiGs were on the balance sheet of Romania. In 2003, they tried to modernize them, but realized that it was too expensive, so they decided to write them off. The fate of these MiGs is unknown, as it is impossible to modernize them in 2003, they needed Moscow's permission for transfer in Romania, but Moscow no longer controlled the disassembly. So the bilateral security agreement with Poland mentions MiGs, and that Poland and Ukraine will develop and consider options for cooperation, including Poland's participation in shooting down missiles over Ukraine. Later, the White House said that this could not be the case because John Kirby said that it would be disastrous for both Warsaw and Kyiv. However, it is worth mentioning that Lloyd Austin, the head of the Pentagon, also said that the Ukrainian Defense Forces should look for other targets in the Russian Federation and not touch the oil refineries.